Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning in to episode 542 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube. As always, we have a few comments already. First one goes to Alex, who says, hello and happy Women's Day. Yes, well done. Thank you to everyone. The festive scent of the day is Vintage Chanel number 5, which must mean that you smell absolutely amazing. How exciting, a new Guerlain, says Alex. Perfumed by the Sea says, afternoon, today's scent of the day is Sensuality by Pierre Guillaume. The best perfume from my favourite brand, sun-kissed, slightly sweaty skin. I haven't tried anything new from Pierre Guillaume for quite some time. I need to address that, I think. Okay, regardless of whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to leave a comment, ask a question. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do consider doing so. And if you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. We always give a little bit of a heads up to those of you watching live so that you know what to expect. And what you can expect today is 2 videos back to back. We're going to look at this new Guerlain, the new Aqua Allegoria, and then we're going to come back after a brief break with another showcase of a brand that it was completely new to me until a few weeks ago. And also another heads up. I can't quite believe that this has happened, but my calendar assures me that it is true. On Tuesday, on the 11th of March, Persolaise.com, as in the website and the whole Persolaise thing, turns 15. It was 2010 that I started Persolaise.com, and so we're going to mark that occasion with another one of my Ask Me Anything videos. So try and save up some questions, or maybe send them to me in advance if you can't make the live. We'll be going live at exactly this time, so 5 p.m. UK time on Tuesday, the 11th of March, the 15th anniversary of Persolaise. Lots of comments. Dry Martini says, the new Aqua, I like it. Angeline says, bonsoir, Monsieur P and all, and bonsoir to you as well, Angeline. Mitrakai says, hello. Jeff Sheen says, happy 15th anniversary for Tuesday. Right, thank you very much, Jeff. Omar says, we love a green Aqua Allegoria, but not sure about cucumber. Congratulations, says Alex. I've been curious about this, says Mitrakai. 15 years. I know. I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay, so brand new Aqua Allegoria, and it's called Rosa Verde. And surprise, surprise, it's green. I think we can be entirely certain that the colouring is artificial. Yes, there's a bit of blue colouring and a bit of yellow colouring and a bit of violet colouring, etc., etc., etc. I personally think all of this sort of artificial colouring of perfumes is a bit of a shame, but anyway, there we are. Now, Guerlain, it seems to me, in the last few years, have been going through... I think struggling to work out how to place the Aqua Allegorias, but I wondered as well whether that's a reflection on them and the fact that they kind of maybe don't necessarily know exactly how to formulate the identity of the brand, or whether it's actually a reflection of the market and the fact that you nowadays don't seem to be able to allow an identity for a range within your overall portfolio. You don't seem to be able to allow an identity to just remain in place for a while, and you keep having to reinvent it, and you keep having to change it, and you keep having to tweak it and give it a different twist and give it a kind of novel stance. The Aqua Allegorias went through a bit of a major relaunch a few years ago, where they did the whole thing that they were going to be Guerlain's most sustainable perfumes, and they changed the alcohol that they used, and they did refillable bottles and what have you. There was also a price hike. But then I'm pretty sure it was last year, we suddenly had the, is it the Absolue Allegoria? Now, maybe Guerlain and LVMH would tell us that we're not supposed to think of those as having anything to do with the Aqua Allegorias, but, they have got Allegoria in the name, and so I think most consumers, myself included, thought, okay, so there is some sort of a connection between the two. The Absolute Allegorias were older perfumes that were put into this newly created Absolute Allegoria range, and they're housed in bottles that look very much like this. Then Guerlain started presenting us with forte, stronger versions of some of the Aqua Allegorias. Then we got the limited edition harvest versions of some of the Aqua Allegorias, and it just felt like maybe they were just trying to throw as much as possible onto the wall to see what would stick. Mind you, the Harvest collection was excellent. As you know, I'm a big fan of the Neroli Vetiver Harvest, and I wish it weren't a limited edition. And as you're all saying, Gavin says there was Allegoria Forte and the Harvest range. Natasha's chiming in with that as well. Flankership at the level of range, I guess, says Gavin. Old wine in new bottles, as we say in Australia. In Austria. I read that as Australia for some reason. I just moved you halfway across the world, Alex. Sorry. Reminds me of the Jardin line from Hermès. Do you mean the range or this? Because I know what you mean if you mean this particular one. And now, for this year, we have got, seemingly, just this one, Rosa Verde, but it's being sold to us as a feel-good fragrance, as a wellness fragrance. And I confess, when I read that, I thought, what are you doing now, Guerlain? Is that going to be the latest twist? Are the Aqua Allegorias now going to be, I don't know, like a Clarins Eau Dynamisante, or that scent that Chanel released a couple of years ago? What was it called? Number One or something like that? Well, it was meant to be inspired by the camellia. And my heart did sink a little bit when I read that. But all of that gets pushed aside if you've actually made a half-decent perfume. And with Rosa Verde, Guerlain have given us a more than half-decent Aqua Allegoria. In fact, in many ways, it feels like a kind of back-to-basics Aqua Allegoria, the kind of thing that we want from Aqua Allegoria. Back in the day, when they were created in the late 90s, and some of those early compositions are still part of the range, the whole point was that they were supposed to be different from the more baroque, the more opulent, the more intricate, the more complex scents with which Guerlain had earned its reputation. So, your Mitsukos and your Chamades, and I suppose what else would have been round about newish at that time, Jardin de Bagatelle and Samsara. And they were mostly based around two fairly direct, fairly legible accords. And I still think, and also they were affordable. They were a lot more affordable, I think, than they are now. I think that the strongest Aqua Allegorias are the ones that kind of stuck to that remit and didn't try to be too tricksy, didn't try to be too playful, and just thought, okay, let's try and come up with a simple, maybe not overly hackneyed, overly contrived accord, and let's try to do it well. And I think that's what they've done here. Interestingly, Alex says, is it similar to Rosa Magnifica? No. In fact, actually, it's the sort of polar opposite in some ways. Rosa Magnifica, if you're not aware, is Mathilde Laurent's contribution, one of many contributions from her to the Aqua Allegoria range. Beautiful, beautiful rose. It's her take on Nerma, long discontinued, but I think you might still be able to find a few drops if you know where to look. There isn't a forte version of this, as far as I'm aware. It is just Rosa Verde on its own. And maybe that speaks of a certain amount of confidence that Guerlain have in making it, because I think they're right to feel confident. Omar says, Pamplemousse and Herba Fresca are the only two left from 1999. Thank goodness they're still with us, because they're wonderful. And also, it is International Women's Day. There is a bit of me, every year when International Women's Day comes around, there's a bit of me that kind of feels a little bit saddened by the fact that we still do very much need to have an International Women's Day. May we all live to see the day when actually equality and fairness and justice are such that we have no need for an International Women's Day, but sadly we still do. And so if we do, let us celebrate it and shout about it as much as we can. And in a way, this is apt, because the perfumer who made this, Delphine Jelk, or Jelk, I'm going to go with Jelk because I was told it's Jelk, but maybe it's Jelk. She is the first person who has had an in-house, she's the first woman who has had an in-house capacity at Guerlain and has also had that officially acknowledged by the brand. When Mathilde Laurent was working many years ago alongside Jean-Paul Guerlain, that was mostly kept quiet. But Delphine Jelk is absolutely, completely credited as the creator of the scents that she has made. So it's good to be doing a perfume created by a woman in an important perfumery position on this day. Jakub says, didn't Herba Fresca get discontinued for a while? Is it back? See, I don't know if it actually did get discontinued, but anyway. So, Rosa Verde. And if you have smelt it, let me know what you think of it, because I think I have now decided what it is that it reminds me of. When I had a first sniff of this, and I've worn it briefly, it is one of those instant smile in a bottle perfumes. It doesn't try too hard. It's a really, really gentle, petally, cucumbery, aqueous sort of rose, but not marine. You know, this isn't a cologne bomb. The cucumberiness just comes across as a kind of watery freshness, and it's linked with a pear note, and the pear is also suitably appley, but it's not overly tart, it's not overly sharp. It just works. The musks in the base are very, very well judged, and if some of this sounds a little bit like Un Jardin sur le Toit from Hermès by Jean-Claude Elena, then you can definitely kind of notice a link between those. Jardin sur le Toit, one of the more underrated jardins, I think, from Hermès. That was a kind of rooftop orchard, so it was apple trees and pear trees. That's definitely got that kind of thing going on here. But the cucumberiness is more prominent and the rosiness is more prominent. But I also thought that it was reminding me of something else. Gavin says, did Delphine do that mood board for Patchouli Paris? Because I'm still not over that. She did. Sounds very fresh, says Alex. Yes, which I think is kind of what you want from an Aqua Allegoria. Tomasz says, the latest L'Art à la Matière is excellent. I love Pêche Mirage. I've never dreamt of spraying a peachy scent over me and having truly a light-hearted pleasure. Rosa Verde is just enjoyable. Is the rose red or pink, says Omar. See, now you're expecting too much rose knowledge from me. Pink. Let's say pink. I think it's because it's sort of delicate and petally, whereas the rose in Rosa Magnifica is more of a kind of red auburn rose. This sounds terrible, says Dahlia. Oh, well. How does it compare to Chanel No. 1, says Silver Moon? It feels much more like a perfume than Chanel No. 1 does. What exact shade of pink is the rose based on? I have absolutely no idea. But the other thing that it reminded me of, and it just hit me the other day, is I thought, yes, this is like Nivea hand cream. Now, there is a rumour, I think some people would say that it's more than just a rumour, some people would say that they have found evidence to back this up, that the scent of Nivea hand cream was apparently formulated by Guerlain. And if you think about it, original Nivea, now I haven't smelt Nivea for a while, so I don't know if they've messed around with that, but the original Nivea hand cream in the blue pot, if you think about it, was basically a rose scent. I think it had lots of phenylethyl alcohol, and it was just a very, very simple, fleeting, but quite distinctive rose. And this, Alex says Nivea was a scent was created by Guerlain. See, I've heard this as well, but rumours have a way of multiplying, right? And so I think a lot of us now believe that this was true because we've heard somebody else say it. As far as I know, this hasn't been completely substantiated, but let's go with it for the sake of this video. Nivea is still in good shape, says Tina. Okay, good to know. This, I think, is kind of like a cross between Nivea and Hermès's Jardin sur le Toit. And it's a delight. It's a real delight. And it lasts well, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. The rosiness and the pear-like quality kind of segues into the musks very, very convincingly. What do they say? They say, we have a pre-spray blotter as well, in 2025, Maison Guerlain introduces Rosa Verde, which captures the feel-good effect of a dive into cool water. I mean, all right. Fine. I don't know why you have to bring a swimming analogy into it, but never mind. Its refreshing and caressing green floral notes with hints of rose and cucumber, more than a hint of rose, have been meticulously crafted by Guerlain Perfumer, okay, to offer an instant feeling of pleasure and relaxation. And there's an asterisk thing, and this is where I started thinking, oh, are we really doing this? So the asterisked explanation goes on to tell us, using the Rosa Verde perfume increases the feeling of pleasure, self-assessment on 37 subjects. I mean, couldn't they stretch to 40? And the feeling of relaxation, instrumental test on 34 subjects. Increases the feeling of pleasure. I dread to think in what way they measured the increase in the feeling of pleasure when they were covering these people with Rosa Verde. So this is how they're selling it. I think it's a bit of a shame. I think they should actually just be selling it as a well done Aqua Allegoria. Then there's a quote from Delphine Jelk who says, "I wanted to express the idea of an eau de beauté," as in my mispronunciation of the French word for beauty, somewhere between perfume and skincare, as if perfume were skincare. I worked around cucumber extract with aquatic notes and at the same time a vegetal side to give this impression of hydration. There's a real idea of freshness in this fragrance. Yes, absolutely there is, and it's nicely done. If that's what they need to do to sell it, then, you know, heaven help us all. Submerging in Rosa Verde, says Mitraka. Yeah. Is it as interesting as Herba Fresca? I adore the mint and the herbal smell, says Mirish. No, it's not as quirky. I mean, those earlier Aqua Allegorias were quirkier. Pampelune has got a quirky side to it. This is a much more straightforward, much more accessible, much more familiar rose and pear combo, and pre-sprayed. The percentage statistics, says Carry On, remind me of Charlotte Tilbury makeup marketing. Oh. Jeff Sheen says, iced rose water with cucumber slices floating on the surface. I would say cucumber slice. And you have to mention the pear. The pear is important in this perfume as well. Pre-sprayed. Yeah, it's become, in a way, maybe more pear-like, a touch sweeter, and the musks haven't been overdone. This is what Aqua Allegoria needs to be, I think, and then we'd be fine. And a harvest version of this would be interesting, like with some special rose. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for all the comments and the questions. We will be back in a couple of minutes with another one of our showcases. Okay, see you in a bit. Bye now.